Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. This is Yankees Unloaded. Unfortunately, you can't win them all, even though it does feel like the Yankees do a lot of that. 50-23 on the season. They did lose today to the Boston Red Sox, 8-4. Really not a fun game. Juan Soto's home run was fun. Just randomly seeing a 3 RBI day out of LeMahieu was kind of fun. But aside from that, it was pretty dreary. Rodon did not have his stuff today, even though he struck out 7. I mean, we talked about that with Heel. Heel didn't have his best stuff, struck out 6. Marinaccio, I thought, looked really good. I know he gave up a run, but I thought he looked really good. 2 innings, 3 strikeouts. Victor Gonzalez gave up a run as well. But, Gary, the reality here is it's not going to be perfect. You are going to lose baseball games. And the Red Sox are not a bad baseball team. They are a mid baseball team. That's not a bad thing. I say it all the time. Mid doesn't mean it's bad, okay? Middling, middle of the pack. This is a team that just went over 500 again. They're 36-35. They're 17-20 at home. So they are pretty much a team that can steal some at home. They've lost more than they've won, obviously. But, I mean, they have talent, Gary. They do. It's not the Yankees level, but I've always been a big fan of Duran. I thought he had a lot of talent. His batting stance is weird. I'll just say that. But
yeah, he needed his bat to catch up because he's always been
Yeah.
a really good athlete, and the Red Sox knew this. And you can't always say a player's not going to pan out after the first year and a half or so. And sometimes players need more time, right?
Exactly.
Jason Dominguez, on the other hand, he didn't. But not all players are the same. And so, long story short, Duran was one of those guys. I mean, he's hitting 275, but he's got pop. And of course, you saw today, he's just blazing around the base paths, just a menace. But I will say this: this is a mid team. Yeah, when you don't show up to play and guys don't have their stuff, Rodon clearly didn't have his stuff today. I was watching Tyler O'Neill just hit piss rockets in the first inning right away, right? And you just kind of, if you allow a mid team to get off the first punch, it's going to be a tough day, especially at Fenway. Always difficult to win there. So it was all about the start. And one thing I will say, and I want to bring Garrett Cole into this, because when you see Rodon, and Rodon's the type of guy who's really, at least output wise, he's pitched like an ace, like a 1 or a 2 in a rotation. He's been excellent. But it goes to show you how often this can happen to a player that's on that tier below a real ace, and the way Garrett Cole is, because we've been watching Garrett Cole for some years now in pinstripes. He doesn't go 5 innings and give up 5, right? And that's why we miss what are we looking for here? The consistency of a real ace. And Carlos Rodon can have that rebound season, and all these guys that we were hoping would give us the Stromans, right? The Nestor Cortez. Those guys can put together really good seasons, and they still have these type of outings. They just happen, right? It's a human part of the game, and only a select few of pitchers in Major League Baseball just don't really have those. They maybe have them once a year. Okay, this will happen again to Carlos Rodon, but what's important is what he does majority of his starts. And if majority of those starts are Carlos Rodon-esque, we're going to see good numbers and enough for the Yankees. Today just was not his day. It was shitty. I'm going to be honest with you. You could tell right off the bat, and I've always said this, I don't see why hitters can go up to Carlos Rodon and take first pitch strikes down the chute and then allow him to get to that power slider and that changeup he's been working on. It doesn't make sense. You might as well, and you saw Jamie Westbrook do this, right? You saw Connor Wong do it early in the game, where they established themselves early in the count and did damage early. And by that point, who cares if you strike out 7? If they put 3 or 4 runs on the board, the Yankees are already on the ropes. So, yeah, I just thought it was a smart game plan from Boston today. You've got to tip your cap, and we've got to go win a game tomorrow.
No, I absolutely agree. It's kind of funny seeing Ref Snyder and Weissert in there. Refsnyder's
Yeah.
batting 317. I don't know where it came from. I know he's 33 now, but I mean, the dude is having a decent year. So you get your MJ Melendez. I got to get my guy that I think is maybe worse than MJ Melendez, who, by
MJ
the way,
Melendez hit a damn home run today.
he hit no. He hit a grand slam today.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
That was today in a nutshell, right? It just wasn't very, it was baseball. It was MJ Melendez is hitting, doing a bat flip after hitting a grand slam. You're like, sit down. You have a 162 batting average, buddy. But no, I'm gonna throw out my MJ Melendez, a guy that I've always felt like was just so not good.
Who's that?
Bobby Dahlbeck is
Oh, yeah.
horrible. He is horrible. I don't know why I think he was a top prospect at one point. They're Red Sox fans. I still see his jersey being worn in the capital region, okay? In New York. I see his jersey being worn. Like, I see Dahlbeck jerseys every now and
Well,
then.
I know exactly who Bobby Delbeck is because he went to U of A. And for those of you who are familiar with U of A, it's of course in Tucson, Arizona. Well, where do most professional athletes who are, I guess, born and raised here or just going through their college days in Arizona, you end up at Old Town Scottsdale to go party? Well, that's where I'd go see Bobby Delbeck. And what's so funny is he was really just like Mark McGwire, except he just really couldn't put the ball in play as often, and that's been his problem. And he's always, and out of college, they were saying this guy has light tower power. He does, right? But the most important thing of baseball and the most important aspect of hitting is having consistency, being able to make adjustments. Dalbec has not done that. That's absolutely something he hasn't done. And when you can say consistently that a player cannot locate what's happening to him, okay, they're clearly throwing, because let's be clear, Anthony Volpe, right? We'll use him as a perfect example and kind of make the comparison. Anthony Volpe was being pitched up in the strike zone last year, right? The Yankees just let him go out there, play the whole season. They were pitching up in the zone. He had an uppercut swing, and it was dog shit. It wasn't good. What does he do this year? He tells us, I'm flattening out my swing. That's my adjustment to how they're pitching me. Bobby Delbeck, to your point of how he's playing, he literally has made no adjustment. He looks like the exact same player that you would have seen 2.5 years ago. So that's the crazy part about him.
No, you're right. And he only has 2 home runs the last 2 years. So much for that power. Anyway, this isn't let's flame Bobby Dahlbeck. I'm just having fun. He flamed MJ Melendez. I was going to throw Dahlbeck out there. I think he's worse, but
he is.
It's so funny when Melendez does the bat flip like he's batting 310 and
it was a really good at bat, though. I think it was like a 14 pitch at bat. It was pretty cool. I don't know if you remember that Alex Cora like 16 pitch home run that he did like maybe 20 years ago at Dodger Stadium. But yeah, it was a great at bat. So I got to tip my cap to him.
And they won the game because of that. That
yes,
propelled them. I mean, they ended up winning 7-2. But looking at this game though, yeah, just not fun. Verdugo going 0 for 5. I feel for him, had his day yesterday. We'd all agree that was his Verdugo, his FU, ceremony, if you will. Day 2 was a rug pull. Okay. Day 2, Boston fans were very happy. They were booing the shit out of him. I thought Stanton looked surprisingly good today. Despite
he did come up in a really big at bat with the bases loaded and didn't do anything, which actually during the at bat, the broadcast was mentioning how this was his point of emphasis. Now, of course, you're not going to deliver every time there's a situation to deliver. That's just not the way baseball works. Yeah. But he did say his big adjustment this year was that when I do get into opportunities with runners in scoring position, it's not necessarily about getting my hit or two throughout a game, but it's when I get the hit and delivering when my team needs me, which I thought was actually a really mature answer from Giancarlo heading into the year, because most players don't want to do that shit. They just don't, Jake. They don't want to put any emphasis on the clutch situations, and they want to say, hey, I still hit 30 homers, right? There was a lot of production there. Well, the hardest time to do anything is when your team needs you to do something. That's when everyone's nervous. That's when pitchers are delivering their best pitches. They're throwing more breaking balls, right? So it's difficult to get that type of stuff done. He had 2 hits today and he looked good. But yeah, the one at bat where he said he was trying to make an adjustment, he didn't necessarily deliver, but at least he's being accountable.
Yeah, of course. I thought if you're going to take anything away from this, the Soto home run was big. I gave him a chance after the Soto home run, but I told you, I texted you this when Yoshida had that double. I was like, oh, okay, GG's, this one's over.
And you did text me that.
I was just like, that's the dagger right there. Really, the dagger was in the second inning because when Devers had the double that scored O'Neill and Ref Snyder, now it's 5-2. Okay, now they have our number. The gold number. Oh, when the Yankees score 5, they win. Well, when the other team scores 5, the Yankees typically don't end up, at least it seems that way. You can kind of tell. I mean, we've always said this. You can kind of tell the Yankees are going to lose a game pretty early on. And this did not feel like a game they were going to win. I will say the LeMahieu single, that the base knock that knocked in Rizzo and Stanton in the second inning, I was like, okay, all right, we have some fight. We got Rodon. It's only 3-2. Rodon's not going to give up another run. Then he gives up 2 runs to Devers. And he settled in after that, to be fair. But the damage was already done. And, bottom line is you have to score more than 5 runs to win. If you have a pitcher that's going to be giving up runs like that early on, you're going to need to score more. And 8-4 is pretty much what that's the vibe I got from this game.
Most 8-4 game ever.
I just didn't think the Yankees, they didn't deserve to win this game. I mean, it wasn't, and you see it all the time. Fans are fans. I get it. We're fans. But, when you're on Twitter and you're seeing people complaining about the strike zone, and it's like, come on, dude. They just were outplayed. It's okay to admit it. Like you said, you tip your cap to them. They had a way better game plan. They had a way better approach. Their starting pitcher outdueled Rodon, okay? Criswell, he was decent, He didn't end up getting the win because he barely pitched. He only pitched 4 innings, but he was decent, the opener. And then Slayton came in, and he was pretty solid. And, really what it comes down to is the Red Sox on this particular night were much better than the Yankees. Now, is that going to be the case all the time? Absolutely not. And tonight, ESPN Baseball on Sunday, you got Stroman taking on Cutter Crawford. It's a decent matchup. Crawford gets no run support, by the way. So based on that, if the trend exists, this should be a win because Cutter Crawford is 2-6 with a 3.47 ERA. He's done a lot for the Red Sox, but the Red Sox haven't done a lot for him. So we'll see. I think going into this one, Stroman, I think we need to see another, and I mean, we don't need to, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see another Stroman kind of like a dominant performance. I feel like he's overdue. He hasn't had those in a while. He's been like good, not great, and which is fine because his ERA is below 3, and good, not great will keep that there. But I feel a dominant performance from him coming because you look at Heel, he struggled, didn't have his best stuff. Rodon didn't have his best stuff. Stroman has pitched against the Red Sox quite a bit. So I think he's going to come out. He's going to ball out on ESPN. 7 o'clock baseball instead of the 8. I don't know how I feel about that, but I normally like the 8, for the prime time. But
it is a bigger game. So yeah. I feel like Stroman usually is going to deliver in those type of situations, or at the very least get up for that game. But I felt like
practice for the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like in general, Marcus Stroman's been pretty consistent in terms of his intensity, and that's something the Yankees needed. We have been, I mean, if you look at some of the players that we had on last year's roster, sometimes it looked like a late September game, and then other times it looked like a spring training event. And guys just really weren't bringing it to a max level. They just weren't. And we were talking to Aaron Judge about how he's going to step in as a leader and pull the most out of his teammates. Well, Marcus Stroman is not one of those players that needs to be hyped up for a game like this. You just don't, right? You saw with Luis Gil earlier in this series. Luis Gil showed up. He was sitting 100 miles an hour. There's a reason for that. It's because these are big games in Boston. Boston might be the most mid baseball team you ever seen at 36 and 35, right? They didn't get the pitchers. They didn't go get Jordan Montgomery. They got essentially no one that they wanted. None of the fans got anything to be excited about. And yet, we're still hyped up about this game. It's Yankees Red Sox. It doesn't even matter who's on the team. We're getting hyped for these games. So I think Marcus Stroman in general, he's going at least 6 innings tomorrow. And he just has to be good. He doesn't have to be great. You go 6 innings, you give up 2. My expectation is that Cutter Crawford, his name just gives away his entire game plan. He's throwing cutters, okay? And you're expecting Verdugo is going to be in the 4 spot. They're very predictable about how they've deployed their lineup. You're expecting Volpe to get off the mat. He was 0 for 5 today. He needs a rebound tomorrow. And that's just exactly what he would tell you. I'm expecting a huge night from Giancarlo Stanton. Usually when Giancarlo struggles, it's when pitchers are working inside and out. Cutter Crawford tends to work the ball away the whole day. He wants to throw cutters and 4-seam fastballs and sliders. Everything's working away.
Cutter Crawford is
my expectation, Giancarlo is hitting an absolute pisser tomorrow, at least 112. I'm telling you. And when he does, we're going to mention it on the show. And then hopefully Boone doesn't sit him tomorrow, because that'd be the worst thing. I can't make a prediction and then he doesn't play. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, but how crazy would it be if he like pinch hit and then that's how he hits it? It's like, oh, so Gary was always right. He was destined for it, and Boone just should have played him. But
yeah, Giancarlo can hit the broadside of a barn if he's pinch hitting. I've never seen him do. Have you ever seen Giancarlo do anything pinch hitting? It kind of goes to show he's a rhythm player.
No, he is. Absolutely, he is. Judge has been kind of quiet this series, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes, he goes nuclear. I don't know. I feel like the Yankees are going to win the series. I think they win tomorrow. I think Stroman throws a gem, 7 innings, maybe 1 run. I see a 5-1 ball game from the Yankees. I think that, they'll have a home run or 2 and maybe, single into the gap. But I will say this. I don't know why, but Yankees Red Sox has way more weight to me when played at Fenway as opposed to Yankee Stadium. I'll never understand it, but it just feels bigger. And just, it's so different, and it's so, like, Fenway Park is my favorite baseball stadium.
It's amazing. I know we're not supposed to compliment them on anything just because they're our rival, but if I would honestly challenge any Yankees fan to go to Fenway Park and go sit. I wouldn't say go sit in the monster seats, because those are just terrifying. I sat up there one time. I was just scared shitless. So I wouldn't recommend that.
And the whole time you're worried you're going to get killed.
What's up?
The whole time you're worried you're going to get killed, so you can't even enjoy the game.
I mean, could you imagine falling from it? It'd be terrible. By the way, Cutter Crawford's getting absolutely shelled tomorrow. The dude's given up 11 earned runs his last 3 starts. Granted, his last start against Philly, he had 2 unearned runs given up. 4 total. 2 of them were unearned. So not a terrible start, but like I said, when you give up 11 total, now he had kind of a tough sledding. Think about this, by the way, Jake. Cutter Crawford, his last 4 starts, he faced Milwaukee, Baltimore, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and now he's facing the Yankees. This dude has to hate his life.
Yeah, this guy is... Here's what I think, okay? I think Crawford is going to have a very similar game to the one we saw from Glasnow against the Yankees. Okay. He's going to strike out like maybe even 12 guys. Like he's a strikeout pitcher. He is going to generate a lot of whiffs, and the Yankees are going to drop 5 on him. So he's going to give up like 5 runs, strike out I'll say like he strikes out 10. Strikes out 10, gives up
Okay.
5 runs, and that's it. And Stroman only gives up 1, and I don't think we see scoring the rest of the game. I don't think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to start off with promise, but if you're looking for, a ton of action, I don't think this is the game that you're going to get a ton of action. And I could be wrong, Gary, but that's how I feel.
Well, Cutter Crawford's given up a homer in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starts in a row. So
Yeah.
I'll take that. That's something that I like to see. And he's given up multiple once. So yeah, as long as he's pitching in general, I would say, Cutter Crawford, he's not a strikeout pitcher, really. He has 79 Ks on the season in 80 innings. Nothing
Yeah.
insane. He's around the plate. He's walked 25 guys this year. It's not gonna be some Juan Soto fest where he walks 3 times with a single or whatever the hell. Remember that scout? Did you hear what that scout said about Juan Soto? He said that he either walks or hits a single. I'm like, what
Dude,
kind of statement is that? He's
how
got
do you
like almost 20 jacks.
how do you even say that? I mean, are you trying to lose your job? Because I'll tell you right now, I don't want that guy scouting for my team if he thinks that. Think about that. That changes the game. If that's how you look at baseball, if that's how you look at Juan Soto, like, what are you looking at? Like,
I don't think a scout really said it. I honestly, whenever someone says some random scout said this, in my opinion,
Boris
it's
created
usually
it.
just someone trying to lower his value, like make us look at him a certain way, which really it doesn't do. Because
No,
anytime someone says that, it makes me look at his numbers and go, oh, wow, look how much he actually does, and makes me value
yeah.
him even more.
So my conspiracy theory brain here is that I think Boris did it. I think he hired somebody to talk about it, whatever. And I think like how you view it, I think that's just kind of how most people. It's just to get his name out there, that whole thing. So that's how I see it. I could be wrong.
It's genius.
It is. I don't want to call Boris a genius because dude, this offseason was so bad. Like you said, he just shit his pants. Like it was just not good.
He did.
But yeah, at some point or another, he has been genius before. So I'm not going to act like he hasn't. This is the last game of the series. Okay. There's going to be a day off. Then they're back at the stadium for 2 really good and really important series. Baltimore is the most important series they will play
by
all
far.
year. It's really that simple. They won today. The Yankees lost, so that's not great. They got Baltimore 3 times at the stadium. Then they got the Braves. We're gonna try to go to the Braves game. We'll see what ends up happening. But we will try. It seems like it's coming up a little fast though, so we'll see. We'll see what we
It's not
can
looking
do.
great for your boys. By the way,
Yeah.
side note, huge day of growth last night, I guess you can say, or early this morning for the show. I think the boys gained like 50 subs. So,
Dude, it's
yeah,
crazy.
we appreciate it, guys.
We do appreciate it. We're almost at 700 subscribers. Gary, we're getting closer to getting monetized and,
And buying
having
those gold mics.
Gold mics, full-time, money. Like, what do you do for a living? Yankees are loaded. Like, we're getting to that point. Not really, but we're getting close to the point where that's where it starts. So we really appreciate you guys. It's been a blast. This show is just so much fun. And, even on days like today, like, okay, they lost and wasn't great. Gary and I just love shooting the shit, and we love seeing the comments, and we love seeing the views, because 1.3K on that last video in a day. Considering we're not like a huge Yankee show yet, we will be, I believe, but we're not there yet. To see that was big. So that doesn't happen without you guys. Yes, okay, YouTube algorithm helps, but also keep this in mind: the YouTube algorithm just sends this out. You guys click on it, and then even furthermore, you guys watch it to the point where our viewer retention is insane. So the average view duration on that, I believe, was like 20 minutes, something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can't get anybody to sit down and watch 20 minutes of anything
I
these
know.
days. I know you can't get them to watch that new Star Wars, which I guess people were just miserable about.
We won't go there for obvious reasons, but yes, the new Star Wars is tragically bad. I do not recommend it at all. At all. The new Boys season 4 looks really good, but yeah. Also, we're in Sunday, so House of the Dragon comes out on Sunday.
Still haven't seen that. I mean, people told me to go watch Game of Thrones, and it was just there was too many there were too many sex scenes in it. I was like, what am I watching?
Okay, all right. Well, it's the first season, and then
It
it's
was
like gone.
crazy.
Yeah, I think they did that to get people to try and watch,
Okay.
like lure them in, because it's really just the first season. Yeah, it is kind of over the top. It is a little ridiculous, but yeah, no, Game of Thrones is the greatest TV show ever created. So I mean, just it's really like it's just a fact. I don't know what else to say. Uh, but all jokes aside, um, yeah, we appreciate you guys supporting Stroman versus Crawford. Then we get to Baltimore, where the Yankees, there's a lot of strategy here. Poteet is scheduled to pitch on Tuesday, and
Okay.
Cortez is scheduled to pitch on Thursday, but there is no one scheduled to pitch on Wednesday, which tells me that's going to be Garrett Cole taking on Pavich of the Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees are not playing against, like, this time through the series, Gary. They're not going to see Burns at all.
Well, hallelujah. Isn't he pitching
know.
tomorrow?
Uh,
Yeah, Burns is throwing tomorrow. So,
it works out perfectly.
yeah, I mean, this is an important series. Let's be very clear with Baltimore because, for
Yeah.
one, if the Yankees go win this series, we're established at this point. Now we are the leader in the clubhouse. It's not this, oh, Baltimore's 2.5 games back, because that's exactly what they are right now. We lost a full game today. And if we win this series, Yamamoto for LA just went down with tricep tightness. Okay. He's going on the IL. So when you're talking about the entire landscape of Major League Baseball, if we play Baltimore and show them the type of team we are, well, we establish ourselves as the best team in Major League Baseball. There is no close second. The Atlanta Braves have taken a major step back. LA is dealing with injuries, little more top heavy roster, I guess you can argue. And then Baltimore, we take care of Baltimore. Houston's not the same team. Jake, you mentioned they're not the same team.
No.
The New York Yankees have a prime opportunity to establish themselves as the top dog in Major League Baseball. They have an opportunity to do it very soon. And so we'll see if they're up for the challenge.
We will see. But yeah, they're not going to see Grayson either, by the way. So their two best pitchers are not going to be available for that Yankees series.
Good.
That's huge. That's huge. I mean, we'll take it. Obviously, I wouldn't mind them playing at Baltimore's strength. I honestly wouldn't care. But and Suarez is a good pitcher. I mean, if you look what he's doing, Albert Suarez, Povich, Cade Povich, he's got a 4.76 ERA, and then in very limited time, and then Cole Irvin is a good pitcher. Doesn't strike out tons of guys or anything like that, but 3.03 ERA, 6-3 this year. I think, like, again, I mean, they don't have Burns, they don't have Rodriguez, but it's not going to be easy going up against Baltimore.
That won't change narrative, by the way. People do not care who you had out there, who you didn't. Because remember, when we played the Dodgers and Juan Soto didn't play that entire
Dodgers
series,
fans acted like, well, we didn't have Clayton Kershaw and this guy,
what?
and this guy, and this guy. So
Yeah, and it just, I guess you can say it's fair because you play who's in front of you, but no one's going to remember who pitched for Baltimore in this series if we swept Baltimore, right?
no.
But if we lost against Baltimore, no one would mention that we didn't pitch Garrett Cole. Nobody would do that. We would just talk about the fact that the Yankees lost. So I just think in general, you go out there with what you got, no excuses, and may the best team win.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, we're going to see Chris Sale against the Yankees on Friday. So
I feel bad for
interesting.
Verdugo. That's going to be a shitty at bat. You do not want to face Chris Sale as a lefty. That is, God bless Austin Wells if he plays that game. I don't think there's any way we see Austin Wells.
Oh, Anthony Rizzo is 100% getting plunked.
Oh, absolutely. And it's going to be, oh my gosh, I feel bad. I do. I actually feel bad. And we're the type of team, we're not going to lay down for anybody. We're going to have to stack the lineup with righties, because let's just say I did not trust that move from Atlanta. I thought it was stupid. And mainly because of the health concerns, he's answered every question that we've heard, right? It was the belly button ring. It was this, it was that. He just showed up in Atlanta and it's just been business ever since. So you have to tip your cap.
Yeah. And then the Mets series after that one, it's a 2-game set at Citi Field to wrap this thing up. Severino, he has the nod for the first game of that series. So yeah, we'll see. Interesting pitchers. Heel versus Sale is going to be, man, if we could go to any of those games, I'm trying to go to that one, the Friday night one. That would be kind of fun. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Empty my damn wallet for that game.
I know. Jeez. Oh, dude, it's on Apple TV Plus. We have to go.
I'm sure shit not watching it on TV. They act like they're doing me a favor by putting it on Apple. They really do. They're like, oh, you got an Apple device? Turn it on. I don't want to. They're like putting percentages all up. It looks like what do they call them? The Texas Instrument calculator. And they're just showing me all a bunch of probabilities. Since when do baseball fans want to see probabilities all laced around their screen? We don't.
No. And actually, the Yes app has been experimenting with that. And they're always like, do you want to see this? I'm like, nope, leave me alone. I do not care.
Never did.
I don't. I'm watching the game. If I wanted to do trivia, I would go over to the bar right down the road. Like, I mean, why, so yeah, no, I'm with you there. But yeah, Apple TV Plus, big yikes. Love Apple. I do not like Apple TV Plus for games.
Just let me customize the graphics. Give me the remote. Yes Network. Okay, I'm doing you guys a favor, and you guys can listen to this and pretend you didn't hear it from me and just say that you did it yourself. Let me control which graphics I can use on my screen, whether it be percentages, probability, right? All these numbers. Let me mute and unmute any voice I want, and you're done. That is it. And then figure out how to master the camera work for home run balls. If there's a fly ball out to the outfield, there should be some way for your camera crew to better differentiate the difference between a fly out 240 feet into the outfield and a ball 500 feet to right field. There has to be a better way. If you master those 2 or 3 things, no one should be complaining.
Oh, man.
That's all.
That is so funny. You're totally talking about the Giancarlo Stanton one where like, yeah, I don't know where it went, but it went far. It's a home run.
If I'm at the stadium, I totally get it. There's like a fly ball. Like, I don't freak out. You can tell the difference between a home run and a fly out, but the casual fan really can't. Any ball in the outfield, they're like, oh my God, it's gone. But the broadcast has seen 25 years worth of baseball. It shouldn't happen, but every so often. So that's where I'm at with it. I would like a little bit more accuracy with it, or at the very least, just kind of wait until you have more assurance. Yes, this ball's leaving the park. Now freak out, bring the energy. Which overall, when it's the correct call, I think like Michael Kay and the whole crew, they just do a great job. But it's more of my issue is the camera crew. I think they can do a little bit better of a job.
There was nothing better than watching your dad hit a home run because he'd hit like a screamer over the wall and you just knew it. You knew it was gone. You didn't have to sit there and be like, oh my God, you're teasing me. Like, no, that shit was gone. It was a laser. It would kill you on contact. Like, boom. He once hit the foul pole when I was there. And I mean, I just like the ball bounced. I thought it was going to go back in the infield. I mean, it was like he hit it so hard.
You even saying that reminds me, tomorrow's Father's Day. I got to send him some peanut M&Ms.
Really?
It's the only thing, because my dad can buy it. You really have to think, Father's Day sucks when your dad's a bajillionaire. So you got to send him a bunch of miscellaneous gifts, like peanut M&Ms, which he's not going to touch. But it's an A for effort. I'm not going to send him a Rolex. I mean, what am I supposed to send the guy? So,
Yeah.
some peanut M&Ms is going to have to suffice.
Well, hopefully, and Dad, if you're watching this, pause it and just end the thing right now, because I'm going to give away your gift right now. Hopefully, my dad likes his gift because he's big golf guy, and me, my mom, my brother, and my sister put our money together to get him one of those golf speakers that gives you like where the hazards are. Like it literally
Oh, that's
shows you
cool.
how. Yeah, dude, it's so sick. Blue tees.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I kept seeing those ads, and I looked into it. I watched videos on it. I was like, okay. I was like, this thing is nice. Like, because those hazards, man, that's a big deal. The fact that it'll have all those courses in there, and you you're this far away from hitting in the water, which I'm going to do anyway. So,
You bought him a speaker to show him where not to hit the ball so he can hit it exactly there.
yep.
Golf.
But also, it's a speaker, so he can blast some Foo Fighters and dad rock for dad. I mean,
He
there
could
you
also
go.
play Yankees Unloaded on the damn thing, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yes, he could. He could.
Yep.
It would be kind of weird because I'd probably be in the cart with him, and it'd be like, yeah, like listening to myself. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, my wife does this. She turns on Yankees Unloaded. She's like, "Oh, well, I'm supporting the channel." And I told her, "I don't want to hear my voice, so turn that off or mute it." No one wants to hear their own voice because you just don't sound the way you think you do. And
Yeah,
my
dude.
voice is way more high pitched than I thought. So, yeah, I don't want to hear it.
Well, it's worse for me because like I have, all the editing or whatever, vocal editing on my mic, and I have like a boomier, like radio sounding voice in our show. And
Yeah.
then I hear it and I realize I'm like, wait, when I'm talking to people, they're hearing it like way more like high pitched. I'm like, oh shit. Like, so yeah, no, I hear you. But we've kind of gone off the rails here. It is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been a lot of fun, just this whole show. And we are not even close to getting started. I mean, we're very excited for the future. We'll just say that. But
This is true.
I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. This has been Yankees Unloaded, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Later, folks.
And like this video.